Hello, my name is Anthony Tyrone Sterling. I want the world to know what it feel like to be homeless, because I was homeless. You know, people got this misunderstanding, misinterpretation of being homeless. But I'm gonna tell the truth. It ain't the people that homeless that have mental problems. It's people who are in the position to help the homeless. They don't want to have the homeless mental problem. You know, being homeless, we get treated like we are disease. People don't want to talk to us. Lawmakers make it illegal for people to feed us. Jobs don't want to hire us. And what that causes is a ripple effect of negative emotions. And the only way to fix that problem is to address the problem face on. You know, when I was homeless on the street of the city of Atlanta and other states, one thing I learned being out there is how to survive. Not just exist, but to exist and survive. From sleeping on cardboard boxes, sleeping under the bridge, in abandoned houses, where we can find they'll put a roof over our head. Sometimes it be so depressing that, you know, people go and to places to look for help and can't get help. For example, one day there was a church feeding by Gurnett Station, and I had a seizure that day, and ambulance was called. I was taken to Greater Hospital, but while I was at Greater Hospital, I was subjected to medical malpractice. I was blood poisoned. Now, mind you this, that the nurse that was administrating me my medication overdosed me with Dilantin, which caused me to suffer from suffer worse than I ever suffered any day in my life, to the point where I was begging God to end my pain. And I was telling the nurse that, you know, I was having an allergic reaction to the medication. And I was saying as loud as I can, but every time I say something, nurses kept walking by. Didn't even attempt to see what was going on. Then it got worse. Blisters started showing up in various parts of my body. I would say 2/3 of my body was blistered in areas that, you know, it's not meant for me to mention. But that is one example. Another example, when I was homeless, I was going to Georgia Medical, GMI, downtown Atlanta, before they closed down. And a friend of mine had some glass in his face, and I took him to Greater Hospital to get medical attention. But when I got there, my friend told me, Tyrone, the police the security guard looking at you funny. I mean, I didn't pay attention to it at first. But as the security guard approached me, they were like trying to, you know, ask me questions about this, that, and that. And I told them plainly that, you know, I'm a student in a medical school. I had my school books, my school ID, I had on school uniform, everything. But they didn't believe me. So I left. Well, I was tempted to leave. But Mind you, this, not one, not two, but three, not four, but five Grady security officers who are still employed with Grady chased me 2,112 feet from Grady Memorial Hospital emergency room to Edgewood Avenue, forced me down, had their knee in my back and on my neck, pinned against the fence with glass piercing in my back. And people were standing around saying, "Get off him, get off him." And I'm screaming at the top of my voice as loud as I can that I'm epileptic and I can't breathe. They didn't let up until I went into convulsion, and then they still didn't show due care. They mishandled me, they roughed me up, and they were making fun of me while I was screaming in terror, fearing for my life. They were making fun of me. Then after I got seen by the doctor, they took me to somewhere back of the hospital, chained me to a chair, and prompt false charges on me saying that I was trying to impersonate a doctor. I went to court on that day and was released. And I couldn't even finish school because I was hurting so bad that I had a seizure in the class. You know, somebody need to let the world know about Grady Hospital. I mean, I ain't the only person that Grady Hospital shown this kind of cruelty to another human being life. I thought throughout all my years of living on the earth that the hospital was supposed to be the place where you're supposed to get care. But not here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're homeless and you don't have insurance, you get treated with despair. Every time you go to the hospital, they don't treat you as though you're a human being. They look at you with disgust. One time I had a seizure at Grady Hospital and the nurse dropped me and I landed on my head. Another time I went to the hospital to get help for the Steven Johnson syndrome, and they let me sit there in the emergency room for 5.5 hours, burning and stinging all over my body. And I'm saying, "Somebody please help me, help me, help me." The pain was so unbearable that it forced me into a seizure. You know, and I tried my best to, to seek help. I tried my best to go back to Grady Hospital. But finally, when the final time I went back, they did diagnose me with Steven Johnson syndrome because of an overdose of Dilantin. This is serious, people. Being homeless in Atlanta, it's not, it's the most, to me it's the most dangerous thing, not because of the homeless people, but the amount of care that the homeless get. They close down the shelters, they force homeless families on the street. Ain't nobody looking out for the homeless people. So they force the homeless people to look out for themselves. A lot of people don't know that Grady Hospital was, and probably still is, racially desegregated. And that I have seen for myself, personally up front, that if you're white and got money and you can pay for the treatment, you get treated better than those that don't have money to pay for the treatment. It's painful for me to rethink about this thing because it's saddening. Because when I went to Grady that day, I was not in the position to do anything. I didn't go to Grady for anything but to get help. And it's not just the security officers that, not just the security officers that treat you wrong, but it's also the medical profession personnel too. I just thank God that He gave me strength to live through that ordeal, to be able to live and to tell somebody about it. And I hope this message goes viral, because a lot of homeless people out there suffering at the hand of Grady. I have seen Grady Hospital staff member take a homeless person, the wheelchair-bound person, wheel them out into the street and just dump them on the street like they was a dirty rag. Take the wheelchair back in the hospital. I ain't even turn around and see if that person okay. That was this paraplegic man who couldn't even move. They snatched him out for the gurney. I remember this one situation when this man came in, and if I'm not mistaken, this man had swine flu, and they jumped on this man, and they beat him. I mean, they beat him like you would actually literally find somebody that can fight back. Then after they beat this man up, they called Atlanta police and had this man arrested. They do this is the same, it's a pattern. They beat you up, then they call the police just to justify what they do wrong, because they know that the police officer will have their back, and it'll be your words over theirs, and their words over yours, vice versa. Just because you wear a badge, and just because you claim that you represent the law, does not give you right to treat another human being less than what God created them to be. So if you ask me, I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to be making anything up about Grady Hospital. But tragic incidents like that in your life, you tend to never forget, because it left a scar. My life has never been the same since that day. I'm still suffering because of that incident. But not only that, it's just, a lot of people don't understand what goes on a homeless person's mind. They don't sit down and take time to listen to what a homeless person goes through. A lot of people don't understand that when a homeless person be in a shelter, they get woken up at 5:30 in the morning before business and open up, just to walk around to fend for themselves from 5:30 to the time to go back in the shelter. And if you're not at the shelter in time, you're stuck on the streets. One time, I was stuck on the street when it was snowing on the ground, and there was nowhere for me to sleep. Nowhere. So I ended up having to sleep at the airport or sleep on a train. I was denied food and shelter for 3 months because I was homeless. And a lot of people tend to think that they are helping the homeless situation by sitting there and just talking to us, instead of trying to understand, first of all, what causes a person to be homeless. I believe that when our founding father wrote the United States Constitution, when it said, "We the people of the United States," I don't care what state you're from. The United States Constitution states that it's against the law to discriminate anyone under the cut of law. And our government ain't even trying to do anything to fix the situation. Black people mainly are suffering. If you go, before this epidemic hit Atlanta, Georgia, before this epidemic ever hit the world, if you would have go downtown, I would guarantee you just about every corner in the city of Atlanta have somewhere where a homeless person is sleeping. And when it's raining, homeless people don't got nowhere to go. Homeless people suffer worse than any human being on the face of the earth. Thank God that He allowed me to survive that ordeal. Because at one point in time, I was hurting so bad that I wanted to jump off the bridge over there by Peach Street and Pine and end my life, because nowhere I can get no help. Nowhere can I find somewhere to lay my head. And I was so depressed about the way I was being treated as a human being that it made me feel that there was no hope. Now there are some people out there, there's some organizations that really go out of the way to literally help the homeless people, like Safe House Outreach Program. They got the program that would not only help the homeless people, a homeless person, you know what I'm saying, better themselves, but also help the homeless person to plan for a future. And it went from Safe House helping me out. It went from various churches reaching out. I don't know where would I have been right now today. Being homeless is a disability, because you cannot provide for yourself. You don't have nothing to feed. You have no clothes. And every time, I understand that there's a lot of homeless people out there that does things that was wrong, like get clothes and they sell them. But see, they have a problem also called drug addiction. There was a lot of homeless people out there addicted to drugs that really need help, but they are afraid to reach out for help, because every time they do reach out for help, instead of people who are authorized to give help, who God designated to be helpers, instead of they listen to the ones that they're supposed to help, they try to tell that person what's wrong with them from their point of view. But my main purpose of making this broadcast is to tell y'all that, Greater Hospital is one of the worst hospitals that you could ever go to, as in customer service wise. Medically wise, like trauma, yeah, they one of the best hospitals if you have like serious trauma. But let's say that let's just say you get bit by a spider, or let's just say you don't have any life-threatening situation, but you're hurt. What they does, they'll sit you in an emergency room for hours and hours and hours and hours. Then they'll call your name, that they'll take you back to the triage. Then they give you a pill and a piece of paper about something not something that they sat down and talked to you about, but they go online and they look it up on the line and they say that's your diagnosis. which be far away from what you were suffering from. Then they'll give you a high-ass medical bill, knowing that you ain't gonna be able to pay it. These things should not happen. These things shouldn't even be taking place in a hospital. They should be the main ones showing due care. They're the one that has been given charge to show care for human life. They're supposed to be the one that, you know what I'm saying, make you feel better. If you can't go to the hospital and seek medical help, then where can you go? And that's all over the nation. If you're homeless, people will look at you as though you are a very contagious disease. The mind frame of people think that if you're homeless, you're a beggar, or you're homeless, you got some kind of disease, or you're homeless, you're some kind of criminal, or you're homeless, you're some kind of person, reproachable person. But some of the people that are homeless have graduated from college, have been in the military, who have had homes, but fell on a bad situation where they cannot fend for themselves. Some of the people that are homeless are being dumped down the street by the state of Georgia. When they release them from the mental health institution, they'll bring them downtown and dump them on the street. That's what happened in the situation when that shooter shot up Perimeter Mall. He was a mental health patient that was just released from Georgia Regional. Instead of the state of Georgia trying to help get that man right, it spends the money that the government gives them. And once that money is spent up and they figure they cannot, and they'll have no more funds to treat that person, they dump them on the street. That's the state of Georgia way of sweeping their problems up under the carpet. Sweeping the dirt up under the carpet. You ain't cleaning up the situation. The only thing you're doing, you're hiding the dirt. And that's what Greater Hospital does. When they secure the officer threaten homeless people. I mean, if y'all don't believe me, go to YouTube and look up Greater Security Guard threatening homeless person. Or just go to Greater Hospital, anything, and it'll show you that it'll show you how 5 security officers take down 1 man. I mean, to them it's an activity. It's something to make their day go by. To them, it's just a paycheck. But to the people that they jump on, it's their life. They have to live every day suffering because of the cruelty they endure while they was at Greater Hospital. Not just homeless people. They do it to the elderly, they do it to the young, they do it to black, they do it to the whites, they do it to anybody. Because they think that they can get away with it. And they have been getting away with it. Because people are afraid to step up and speak out about the brutality they endure by the hands of great security officers, or the medical malpractice or the medical malfeasance by the hands of the medical professionals at Greater Hospital. That's just one topic. Let's talk about another topic. Let's talk about the legal assistance to the homeless people. If you're poor and you have no money to defend yourself in court, they give you these public defenders who pretend to be protecting and preserving your right. I'm letting everybody know that a public defender job is not to take you to trial, but to get you to plead out, whether you're innocent or not. Their job is to make you plead guilty to a crime that you didn't commit or something, because they get paid by how many plea bargains they get. They don't thoroughly investigate your case. They don't question the witnesses of your case. They don't seek out evidence that can mitigate your case, because that's not their job. Their job is to defend the public, not you. And the only way they can defend the public is locking you up. And that's how homeless people get, that's how people get swept up get caught in the cracks of society. Because people who in positions to make it better, to make this world a better place, are literally poisoning the world with a wicked mentality. This world is perishing over and over again, as we don't see what happened to George Floyd. The ones who we vote in the office, one who we hired to serve and protect us, are the ones that are killing us and crippling us. And they do it they do the illegal acts under the color of law. Just because the law states that if they do anything, they're immune by it. They're immune to punishment. But I think that the government should snatch the immunity from the crooked officials and make them stand and be responsible for the wrong action they done. I mean, they abuse the immunity clause. And they think they are high and are above the law, that they can get away with it. And they have been getting away with it for years. Just like when I was staying in East Lake Meadow and them cops shot their house up, killing that little boy in East Lake Meadow. It's a lot of things that going on in this society that the world never seen, because people don't speak up about it. Then, when riots break out, when protests fall, they want to ask the question, where do we go from now? I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing that question. Where do we go from now? From here? Where do we go from here? When we ain't even started yet. We ain't even started yet. The change haven't gone, so why ask the question, where do we go from here, when we ain't started yet? The problem still exists. I mean, yeah. When you're rich and you sitting in your multi-millionaire mansions with your 4 or 5 cars and your own studio, yeah, you can sit back and you can talk big. But when you were homeless, and when you was helpless, defenseless against unwanted brutality, when you're a victim of an individual who bent on infliction, motion, and pain, when you've been victimized by police brutality, medical malpractice, legal malpractice, social malpractice, when all the choices that you have has been deleted, deprived, and denied from you, there's no room, there's nowhere for we to go. There's no place for we to go. Where we go from here, that's an unknown answer. That's a question that will never be answered. And it's gonna never get right. Because there's always somebody out there who think they're above the law, who working under the color of law, or medical professional, or whatever you may have it, think that they can do what they want to do and get away with it because of their political title. I hope this message goes viral because I want everybody to know that, United States Constitution was not originally written for the black people. It was not originally written for the Mexican people. United States Constitution was not written for the Native Americans. It was not written for the Jamaicans or the Somalians or the Pakistanians or any other person. When they wrote "We the People," they was only looking at one race of people. And that's the Caucasians. The field nigger and the house nigger mentality still exists. What I'm talking about is this. You got this field nigga, let's call him Uncle Tom. Then you got the house nigga Uncle Tom, and you got the field nigga called Jimbo. Now Jimbo been working in the field all day of his life, and Uncle Tom, he worked in the house. When the master is sick, Uncle Tom say, "We sick." When the master gets some money, become rich, the house nigga, Uncle Tom nigga, say, "Yeah, master, we rich." When the field nigga get out of hand, the Uncle Tom go to the house, the master, and say, "Master, what you want to do? What we gonna do with this nigga?" And that's how it is with the police officers. That's how it is when you have a black police officer showing up for the white cop. "Yeah, master, we gonna make this person commit to our ways." Instead of saying, "Yo, man, what you doing is wrong. That's a human being." You get on TV and you say that you'll discuss about what happened, but you talk about bringing about a change. You talk about black people voting. I've been voting all my life, long as all my adulthood, and I never seen not one change. Black people's voice is not being heard. Black people's pain is not being felt. Black people's tears are not being seen. And a black person cry is not being noticed. Because they keep saying black life matter. I don't think so. I don't think that black life matters in the United States. Because long time ago when the United States Constitution was, before it was written, black folk was considered property, a beast of burden. But before they went over to Africa and snatched us from our motherland, we was kings and queens and princes and princesses of our own tribe, of our own kingdom. We was a community of our own. We had our own laws and the way that we govern ourselves. We had our own identity. But when they went over there and they took 200 slaves on the Mayflower, some of them didn't make it to America because they died of malaria on the ship and was thrown over the board. Some was beaten to death there. The black slave, the African slave, endure way inhuman situation by the hands of the white slave master. And it's still going on. But you have the audacity to ask, where do we go from here? When the problem that have not been addressed as is. The problem is, the problem that there's a group of people who refuses to look at another group of people as human beings, creation of God. They are sick people, very sick people who uses the law to convey their sick ways. When Martin Luther King said he had a dream that we won't be judged by the color of our skin, but by the contents of our character. When Jesus Christ died on the cross, when he shed his blood, he didn't shed his blood just for the white folks. He shed his blood for everybody. So what make you think that you're so special that you can escape God's wrath because you're white? I have no sympathy for anybody who treats somebody wrong just because they think they can. I used to tell people a long time ago that God is angry with the city of Atlanta because they created a holiday that God himself said it was an abomination unto him. Anytime you have a government official, a government leader who agrees to do that which is wrong in the eyesight of God, he not just only condemned himself, but he condemned those that follow him. And you really want to know who was the first terrorist, who committed the first act of terrorism. It was the United States. The United States created the first act of terrorism: kidnapping, rape, murder, child abuse, neck, cruelty and unusual punishment. The United States started this. There's proof in history that they'll go into countries way before the United States Constitution was written, and they'll capture these black men and women, and they will immaculate the men by cutting his genitals off right in front of his wife and his children. That to show that the white man have more dominance over the black man. Brainwashing our children. That's the reason why a lot of black women these days have no respect for the black men, because the black men have been immaculized so bad That it's just in that it's in the spirit of the black man. Black man struggle day in and day out to gain his effect, to gain the affection of his woman, but the woman been so been the abuse by the white man is so strong in our spirit. They make it hard for a black man and a black woman to get together and live peacefully. We always argue among each other. And we be wondering why we argue, why we so angry with this black woman, or why she so angry with this black man. The problem, the reason why is that we were trained to be that way toward each other. We were trained to think that when you got a group of black people to come together, they up to no good. But when a bunch of white people come together, oh, they doing something positive. We were trained to act the way we act. When y'all took it from when you strip a person of his identity and his self-worth, and you beat that person down, and you give that person no way out, no form of hope of justice, what you think that person's gonna do? He gonna act out aggressively because he's hurt. It's just like a wounded animal. That's part of nature. When you hurt something in nature, it scratched out against you. So start asking, where do we go from here? And start asking, when do we start? Because when you start on a problem, then you know where to go from. When you take that first step in making something right, then you can say, where do we go from here? But if you just sitting there with your hands tied behind your back, twiddling your fingers, sitting in your chair, saying, where do we go from here? We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere until someone somewhere take that first step in correcting over 400 years of mental suffering. Greater Hospital. I'm back on Greater Hospital. You know, when them officers was running, when them officers were chasing me, even though I have not committed a crime, I haven't done anything to nobody. When they were chasing me, I heard one officer say, get him, don't let him cross the street. And when they tackled me, I heard them laugh like it was a joke. It was a joke to them to hurt somebody. And I'm talking to the great officials, the administrators. I hold y'all responsible for the mental pain and suffering that I go through every day. I have nightmares because of the people that work for y'all. I have nightmares. I'm still physically scarred from the blood poison that I endure from y'all. My hands, this right here is because of one of your nurses didn't give me due care. And you wonder why I am angry. I'm angry because I have a right upon the HIPAA law as a patient to be treated with respect. But y'all violate that HIPAA law by treating me like I was trash. So, now let me get to another point. Why would you want to get in the? Why would anyone want to get in the take the seat of a president when there's a problem arising, when there's a situation concerned about the people you swore up under the United States Constitution, whose rights do you swore to protect? Why would you get on TV, tweet about sicking vicious dogs and using lethal weapon against peaceful protesters? Oh yeah, and to let the world know about the president they voted for, Donald J. Trump. Did everyone know that in 1972 and 1973, the United States government filed a lawsuit against Fred C. Trump and Donald J. Trump for racial discrimination up under the Fair Housing Act? Yes, you can look it up. You can Google it, and it's a fact. This is something that Donald Trump don't want to admit, don't want to talk to the public about. That how he told his employees not to rent out an apartment to a black person. When the sign said vacancy, that black person went up there to try to get an apartment, and his employee said there's no vacant. They told him, said we don't rent out to black people. But this the president that y'all voted for, the one who said, quote, and I unquote, make America great. What he meant by that was that on the way, the America he was thinking about was not the America for black and white people, but for white people only. Because if we're going to make America great, the first thing he would crack down on is on social injustice toward people, period. If he was to make America great, he would crack down on the cases upon cases of police brutality, police killing doggone innocent black people, using deadly and illegal use of force. If he was going to make America great, he would make a stand against racial discrimination. If he would make America great, he would get on TV and publicly announce that he hold any and all public official, whether you're the governor of the governor of the city of Atlanta to the chief of police, responsible for the people that they train and they hire to commit crimes. That's the only way that you can make America great, is when you make those that in leadership position responsible. Force them to act according to the law that they stand before the judge, a Superior Court judge, a Supreme Court judge, and swore that to uphold the law. And as the president, the chief law officials of the United States, he should be held accountable for allowing such acts to go on and not saying anything about it or doing anything about it. Just by saying, oh, his heart go out to the family, that's not going to change the situation. Only thing that's saying his heart go out to the family, he can say that and don't even mean it. If his heart really did go out to George Floyd's family, he would have got on TV and he would have said, I, President Donald J. Trump, stand firmly against social and racial discrimination among the people upon my presidency. And not Donald J. Trump hold every law enforcement official responsible, liable for any acts they done. And not only would the president would fire them, but give them federal time. Because when a law official commit a crime, that's a federal act. If I'm to be held accountable for the criminal acts that I done in my past, and get punished for the criminal acts that done in my past, so shall everybody else. Equal protection of the law. And that's what I'm making this. That's why I wanted this to go viral. I'm not just babbling, and I'm not speaking out of anger, but I'm speaking out of experience. Because I've seen so much injustice in the city of Atlanta alone that is sickening to say that I was born and raised in Atlanta. People, we don't need a president. We don't need a president who's all talk. We don't need a president who cannot perform his duty as president of the United States fully. We don't need another president to get in the office to make us look bad in front of the whole nation, in front of the whole world. We need a president in there who is really a man after God's own heart. Until we get that person in there, the United States is going to be in so much turmoil before it's over with. Because that's all when we do get a good president, people start talking bad about him. Like how they did President Barack Obama. But a lot of people seen from their own eyes that President Barack Obama did more for the people than any other president did. We was upon a vehement attack. We was upon a terrorist attack. And Obama went and he solved that problem. He did what no other president did in history. Defend the United States against terrorism. But here comes Donald J. Trump. Only thing Donald J. Trump want the White House to see a president for it because he get money for it. He don't care about the people. Donald Trump do not care about us, America. He care about money. There's two things Donald Trump cared about. Himself, three. Himself, white folks, and money. Everybody else, he don't care. And I did not vote for Donald Trump. I was telling people before they vote for this man, do a background check on this man. Listen to the words, listen to the trusted word that he used toward another human being, and ask yourself, is this the type of president that we want to represent us? He talking about building a wall that he never did complete. He talking about making America great. Only thing he did was make it worse. So y'all tell me what this president did. Y'all tell me what the hell going on. When America gonna wake up one morning with one solitary voice, with one single cry, and say, what the hell going on in the White House? When America gonna wake up and stand shoulder to shoulder with justice? When will America wake the hell up and stop saying in God we trust and do trust God? Stop trusting that man in the White House because he can't do a damn thing for us. And he don't want to do a damn thing for us. He don't have America at his best interest. People look at it for us. Take the blinders and the veils off your eyes and look at it as it is. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, my eyes have seen the glory. But right now, it's the opposite of it. My eyes have seen the terror, the horror of this president. When I was little, and I was in music class, we used to sing this song. This land is your land. This land is my land. From New York Island. Y'all know that song. That's just a song. It don't represent nobody. We get up in the morning. Every time we go, let's stand and every time the flag stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. And we say I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And two republics for which it stand one nation. One nation. Not a nation of white or black. But one nation under God, individual, for liberty and justice for all. If you cannot uphold that pledge, then you're really not American. Because that's what millions and millions of Americans stand when the flag shows. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And I'm totally disgusted with the president. I'm totally disgusted with the team he got supporting his life. I'm totally disgusted with the members of Congress supporting him when he done wrong. I'm totally disgusted with the lawmakers upholding his bullshit. And every Congress member in the United States, in the city of Congress, who have voted for this man, who allowed this man to continue to poison our good country, should be taken off. Their seats should be vacant because they did not hold their constitutional duty. Unwavering. Unbiasedly. Every member of the Congress, every member of the House of Representatives are bound by the law of the land. And in one of the clauses of the United States Constitution, it states that the United States Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land, that no one, no judge, no police officer, citizen, free or bound, shall go against it. But they changed the Constitution, and they bend the Constitution, and they use the Constitution as tools to justify social injustice, police brutality, illegal use of force, false imprisonment, cruel and unusual punishment, double jeopardy. I can go on and on and on and on because those things that I said does exist. Not only in the hospitals, but in the streets, in the courthouses, in the restaurants, wherever you name it. And until America wake the hell up and get out their beds and wipe the coal out their eyes and see the problem as it is, that demon is going to continue to destroy our country. But God said, since we are the people that we said that we trust in God, we trust. God said, if the people that are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, then I will hear from heaven and heal their land. But the key word is if, because the people of the United States will not seek God. They will seek a president than the Creator. So where do we go from here? I'll tell you where we go. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Seek ye first God. Jesus said, come unto me all ye who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. If you want United States of America, if you want to see the end of social injustice, social discrimination, better medical treatment, better policing, then seek God first. Just try it. Just try it. One day, I dare the Congress, both the House of Representatives and the House of Congress, to get together as one and pray to God. As the leaders of this country, pray to God. As a representative of each state of America, pray to God. I dare the president, who's the lead, who's the head leader, the head of the United States, kneel to his knees with the House of Congress publicly and pray. And see what God do. Just, if you really trust God, as you said on your dollar bill, penny, nickels, and dime and quarters, trust God and see what He do. Just trust Him. Just say, God, take over the United States, take over the world, and see what happens. Give God back what He created. Give God what is due to Him, which is the sovereign power over everything. Give God the due trust that's due to Him, the love that's due to Him, the honor that's due to Him. Don't give it to man. We've seen for centuries what men can do with that love and trust we give them. The privilege that we give them. We've seen it. Now it's time to turn to the obvious. That's where we go from here. We go to God. So Oprah Winfrey and everybody else that was on TV that day, here's your answer. Where we go from? We go to God. The Bible says if the people that are called by my name shall humble themselves. First off, we got everybody in the United States got to humble themselves before the presence of God. Then we got to seek God diligently, wholeheartedly. Then we got to pray without ceasing. Then when God see us doing those things, He will hear our prayer. Because we are asking these things in Jesus' name. And Jesus said that anything we ask the Father in His name, He will no wise deny it to us. But we first got to humble ourselves. We first got to seek God. We first got to turn ourselves back to our Creator. That's where we go from here. Ain't no political leader, no social reform, or any other reform you could think can fix this problem. Ain't no matter how many riots or protests or regrets that we the people, black people, white people have, it ain't gonna fix the problem unless we go straight to who have the answer. God said in the Old Testament, if there's anything impossible for him to do. God said that his ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than ours. So while we still down here thinking on a lower level, let's elevate ourselves above this thing that calls social discrimination and social injustice and seek God. Let's rise out the ashes like the phoenix does and rise and be a glorious nation that God wants us to be by seeking him. If we so-called call ourselves the greatest nation on earth, let's live up to that reputation by seeking God. And stop self-destructing. Stop killing each other because of skin color or social standards or the color of the clothes we wear. But let's unite as one nation on our knees, seeking God, under God, for the liberty and justice that we needed, or United States will ever be in bondage. We will never come out there bondage unless we seek God, unless we do our own exodus and leave the situation that we were in, that we are bound to by judging each other by the color of our skin. Let's seek freedom for not just for the black folks, but for everybody. Because not only black folks are under attack, but the white folks is too. Because prejudice is a demon. I'm telling you, I'm going to tell it like it is. Police brutality is demonic. Social injustice is demonic, satanic. And until God's people, till we, the people of God, who was created by God, seek God, we're always going to be slaves of our sins. The Bible said that if we confess with our hearts, confess with our tongues, that means use our mouth to say that Jesus is Lord, and believe in our heart, not the fleshly heart, but believing in our mind, have it sown in our mind. That we will be saved. I remember scripture in the Bible, David said that I written thy words upon my heart that I may not sin against thee. Then I remember David saying, create in me, O God, a new heart and renew my spirit. Every day I pray that prayer. Because every day I know that I need to be renewed. And I need a fresh spirit. Because day after day, that spirit and that heart and that spirit been through stuff. So, to everybody that listens to what I'm saying, this is the answer to all our problems. We're from being financially poor to social injustice. The answer to our problem is that we have to seek God first. Can you hear him knocking? In the book of Revelation, God said, behold, I stand and knock at the door. That if any man shall open, I shall come in and sup with him, and him with me. God is waiting. Jesus is waiting for an invitation to enter into our home, to enter into the White House, to enter into the House of Congress, to enter into the House of Representatives, to enter into the House, the Governor House, the Governor Mansions, to enter into the police chief house, to enter into the mirror of the city of Atlanta. He's standing and he's knocking. He's saying, please let me in. Let me in. Let me take the burden that you so unwittingly picked up. Here, take my burden, which is light, which is love. The Bible said, beloved, let us love one another. For though that love is born of God and knoweth God, he that loveth not knows not God, for God is love. So anytime you shown yourself to be prejudiced against somebody because of their race, because of their social standing, that you are not of God. Anytime you show hatred toward a person because of their race, because of their skin color, you're not of God. Because 1 John 4:7-8 said, beloved, let us love one another. Who is the beloved? The world is. John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believed in him should not perish but have everlasting life. But it goes on down and said that those that would not believe are already condemned because they believe not the Son of God. The Bible do not lie. And I would not lie in the Bible. This is the only way we can stop this social injustice and discrimination and police brutality and medical malpractice and medical malfeasance. This is the only way that we can stop the problems that we're going through. This is the only way we can fix homelessness and fix the family where fathers can be fathers of their own child and mothers can be mothers of their own child and children can respect their parents. This is the only way that we can fix America if we seek God first. Any other way, it's just a waste of time. And speaking of time, time is running out for the earth. Jesus Christ is coming back. He's coming back swiftly. And he's not coming back as Mary little lamb. He's not coming back as lamb, the Lamb of God. He's coming back as the Lion of Judah. He's coming back as a roaring lion. Like that song said, God's not dead, he's sure alive. He's roaring like a lion. People, God's not dead. He's still available. Salvation is still available. Hope is still available. Freedom from bondage is still available. Seek God while you got a chance. And if I'm dead and gone, and when God called me home to meet him in glory, this will be my testimony to the world. To let the world know Jesus said he's coming back. This is my testimony to the world that the things that are going on today have been prophesied years and years and years before we was born, before our mother was born, before our mother was born, before our grandparents were born, before their grandparents, way before Martin Luther King, George Washington, and any other doggone forerunners of truth. John the Baptist seen this happen. Jesus Christ said this was going to happen. God declared that this was going to happen. But the only way to escape this is we got to run to the rock of salvation. He never did say he never did say it was going to be easy. But he said he will protect us even until the end of the earth. But he says to those that deny him, that they will be cast into the lake that burns forever. Them with the devil, them with Satan and death. The final judgment. That's part of the Bible that people don't pick up and read and take notice. Because if people actually know what is the verdict and the consequence of their evil doing, they wouldn't do the things they do. They would try to live a life right. But just because we got people saying that, oh, you got a right to choose who you will serve, you got a right to choose if you want to worship God or not. This whole world done went to hell. But God said, don't worry about them. Because they getting exactly what they asked for. Just like the United States, they voted for Donald Trump. So everything that Donald Trump does, they ask for it. The people that voted for Donald Trump, they asked for this disgrace. They had a man of God in the office. But they said that they did not agree with him because they said they thought that he was too meek. That he was a black man. And they try to bring everything they can against this man because he did what God told him to do. But then again, they got him to do one thing that God disagreed with. When God said, when a man lay in the bed with another man as he does a woman, it's an abomination unto him. Anyone who agrees that it's right for a man to lay in the bed with a man, a woman to lay in the bed with a woman, a man to lay in the bed with a young child, a woman to lay in bed with an animal, it's an abomination to God. But God gave us the institution of repentance to get right with him. Before he calls us home, before he calls us to judgment, because the Bible said we all should die. But after that, the Bible says it's appointed for all men to die. It's appointed. There's no way around it. If we are born, it was given life, then it's appointed for us to die. And if we gonna continue, and we live a life on earth that's not pleasing to him, then after that death comes the judgment, because we got to get accountable for the life we live on earth. So if we down here doing what we want, when we want, how we want it, then we're not getting away with it. Because sooner or later we're gonna have to stand and get account of what we do. Because the Bible says every soul that sins should die. And after death comes judgment. And after the judgment comes the second death. So I want all America who know God, who knows about God, who need God, who want God in their life, to take time out your day, out your busy schedule, and pray. I mean, you don't have to go to church all the time. You can stop where you at, in your office, in your car, walking down the street, whether you sit in the Oval Office or in the principal's office. Whether you're the president of the United States of America, to the homeless man sleeping on the streets on the corner of P Street. Whether you're an American Pakistani, Somalian, Jamaican, African, Hebrew, Jew, Gentiles, whatever nationality you come from. Take a time out your time and spend time with God. Tell God all about it. Read God's word and use his word as a plumb line to see is your policies or is your life or is your company, your home, or your relationship measuring up to the plumb line of the Lord. Because things would go accordingly as God wants. Those police officers that jumped on me at the Greater Memorial Hospital wouldn't have done what they did. Those police officers that put their knees on George Floyd's back wouldn't have done the things they did. Those people that killed Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, and all the other senseless deaths that happened in this world, if they were actually God's people, they wouldn't do the things they did. But they don't know what they're doing. But because they don't know what they're doing, don't make them excusable. Because God gave every man the knowledge of right and wrong, good and bad. He gave us the freedom of choice to choose to do good or choose to do bad. When you choose to hurt somebody, then you choose the devil. But therefore, when you choose, you made a conscious decision in your mind to go head on and do that which is not pleasing to God, then you choose death and punishment and death and eternal damnation. So people, I'm finna let y'all go. But I want everybody that can breathe to remember what I said this day. Because it's not every day that I come and have something this profound and deep to say and have the Bible to back everything I say up. Because the proof is in the pudding. Money is not going to solve anything. Voting is not going to solve anything. Rioting is not going to solve anything. Protest is not going to solve anything. Killing each other is not going to solve anything. Putting it down on paper is not going to solve anything. But what would? If we, the people of God, who are called by God's name, shall humble ourselves and seek God and pray, then God will hear our prayers and heal the United States of America of the disease that's been plaguing it for years and years and probably years to come. This is from God Almighty, who is, who was, and is to come. Let everyone who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says.